Welcome to Art of Life. Let's get right to it. We got Lil Reese, who is a Chicago rapper, um, who's in gang activity. And, well, for a little background, um, he's in the same gang as um, Chief Keef. They're friends. He came up with him. Um, for a little background, Lil Reese has been linked to a lot of beefs that ended up with someone being killed in those beefs in Chicago, and that's where Little Reese is from, and he's known for being a gang member. He's known for being sort of a almost like a I don't know. Well, I guess you would call it like a gang leader almost. One of the faces of this gang. So just to give a little background. So when you look at the story, Reese was, I guess this was November the 11th. He was shot in the neck, and the car was shot. They say 12 rounds was shot into the car in Chicago, and Lil Reese was rushed to the hospital. So, which he was in critical condition, and then ended up getting out of the hospital. Um, and even going online with his neck covered up. Like I said, he was shot in the neck. Um, but he went online on Instagram a few days later after he got out of the hospital, and he was online listening to R&B, and um, he even put up a few quotes saying he was lucky, and life is a gamble. Um, so let's get into it. Um, it starts with I believe this whole thing starts with we're looking at the big picture here. Let's start with the gang activity and being in gangs. Um, a lot of it starts with camaraderie, wanting camaraderie with uh, other men, other young males. Um, Men need that um, camaraderie. They need that energy to be around other men and other young men, and to basically get along and do things, and basically have a family. And that's what a lot of gangs do and provide for young men. So the guidance and the camaraderie and the money and the success, that's a form of success being in the gang. Because when you're talking about being raised and coming up in a small coming up in a city where there is violence, a gang's like your family. It's like you find love in a gang, you find family, you find protection, you know, um, being in that rough city. You find all these things, and all these things are attractions to gangs. So these young men are, I'd say, warriors. I say they're sort of warriors, and you could say some of them are, they have warrior spirits, no fear, which we all have fear, but a lot of times, when you're depressed at a certain level and you see violence all the time, you're numb to fear, or you're numb to certain fears. Um, when people are being killed and shot all around you, you become numb to certain things. So these young men are almost like warrior spirits in a way, um, but they need to be directed and guided as young men, not adults. Once men are adults, it's hard to change a man. It's hard for a man to change. So let's get into this bullying. Bullying is a big reason why people join gangs. You know, because we get into the source of these things. Uh, being in a violent city. Gangs will help protect you from bullying. I remember growing up. I remember someone jumping me to be in a gang, and I remember getting bullied at times at school. So the first thing I could have done was get in a gang, and all that would have stopped. All that would have stopped right then. So that lets you know there's another reason why, a perk of being in the gang, so to speak. Now, the end thereof, the result, is not going to be good. If you listen to any gang member, any older gang member, when you talk about gang banging, there is no good result or ending to that life. But as a young man, you don't think forward. You don't think about repercussions and consequences. I'd even say A.R. App even spoke on that when he was younger, under 25. He didn't think about ever being caught doing anything he'd done, or the repercussions of what he was doing. He never thought about it. So that's how he knew. A.R. Ab, which is a rapper out of Philadelphia. That's how he knew that his young boys don't think about repercussions. So there's another reason for this activity, for things that are going on like this. Um, and we who knows? So Lil Reese was he has beefs, from the city of Chicago, and most rappers do get killed in their own city when they're killed, and shot. So he was back in his own city, and that's where this happened. And those old beefs come back up. Those old beefs are still around, are still floating, and then you don't know who is family member or friend to an old beef. If you don't know their face, you may not know their face, but they still run up and pull it out on you and let go, open fire on you. You may not even know the man. So beefs are connected. That's another con of being in a gang. You never know in a gang. You never know who is connected to your rivals. You never know. So these are just things I'm speaking on when it comes to reasons people may join gangs and this type of activity that is going on around Lil Reese. These guys have been known to be very aggressive and very um, influential in the city and powerful as far as gang activity is concerned. A lot of the guys these people have beef with have been have deceased and been killed. So even as we go into this karma situation, I speak on karma. As science says, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. See, if we would teach these things, certain concepts of life, laws of the universe, we will see that everything you do is going to come back in some type of way. All the energy you let out is going to come back. Energy is never lost, it's only changed. That's another law of the universe. If we taught kids this at an early age about karma, laws of the universe, things like this, they'll understand that you need to you need to generate all the best karma that you can generate. Even the Bible speaks of karma when it speaks of reaping and sowing. It's the same energy. It's the same concept. That's why knowledge is important. We need to get this knowledge and dive into it. And if we taught children, kids, little boys these things, they'll be less likely to join gangs. They'll be less likely to generate bad karma, bad energy. So we know Little Reese has been involved in gang activity. We know um, this is just a part of life for these guys, And like I say, they have warrior spirits, so they feel like, if so what if I pass? So what if the ops get me? So they're sort of numb to it, but they have to be directed. That warrior spirit has to be directed, needs to be directed at a young age. So you could be a warrior for for rights. You could be a warrior for your people, as a black people, as African Americans, as Black Americans, or whatever you may want to call it. That's a reason to be a warrior, But it's misguided a lot of times with gangs. So me speaking on this is just giving a background. Um, on why we should study these concepts, because when you talk about karma, I mean, even when you speak on karma, you know that you're getting an opposite, and every action gets an opposite and equal reaction. So no matter what energy you put out, you're gonna receive it back. You're gonna receive it back. So if we taught this, our kids and our youngins would be more apt to put out good energy for that purpose. Um, Gangs show love. Other reasons why people join gangs, young men join gangs. Gangs show love. Gangs protect. I already spoke on that. And it's a bond. It's that male bond. You know, it's that camaraderie. It's that friendship. But see, we need to know, as a young men need to know at a young age, that friendship and camaraderie, um, it's a thing that you should strive to have, that doesn't involve negative energy. And they should be guided. And a lot of times when you go to these single parent homes, and these women, these single mothers, they don't know certain things to teach their sons. They don't know men's emotions. They don't know. They don't understand a man's pride. They don't understand that if a young man gets embarrassed in front of his peers, what that does to him. Women don't react to embarrassment and disrespect like men do. So a woman wouldn't know how to guide a young man in that way, and how to protect himself from that embarrassment, protect himself from those situations. And um, he needs a man to do that. And that's why single parent homes, as far as mothers, mothers do a great job with their girls. They could do a great job with their girls. But when it comes to young black men, he needs a man to help guide him. He needs a man to help him see. Certain things wouldn't resonate with a young boy from his mother the same as it would from a man. To look in a man's eyes and hear what he needs to hear, and hear the guidance that he needs to hear. I've been there. I've gone through it. I've been bullied. I dealt with bullies. When he hear that, he can, because he could perceive it. It'll vibrate on a different level for him, because it's coming from a place of experience. But a young woman, his mother wouldn't be able to teach a young man that, because she don't deal with the types of psychological uh, perspectives as a young man. A young man wants respect. When do you hear young women talk about respect? Hardly ever. And that's where a lot of this gang activity comes in. Uh, Talking about disrespect. Somebody just want to be respected. A group of men, that young men that want to be respected, and want to be don't want to be bullied, and don't want to become victims, so they join gangs. So, but a man could show these young men, a father figure, a guide, can show these young men the right way. When you listen to most gang members that are older, in their 40s and 50s, they'll tell you it ain't no good end. It ain't no happy ending to this. It's either jail or hell, basically. So we need those men. And women should not act like, that's another thing in the black community. Women shouldn't act like they don't need the fathers in their children's life. Because at a certain age, a woman can just can't control a young man. A teenage young man does not, he can respect his mother, but the things she say and do to respond to him doesn't resonate like what a man would do. It doesn't resonate at all the same way. A lion, a male lion, a female lion cannot teach a male lion how to be a male lion. A cow can't teach a bull how to be a bull. A young bull how to be a bull. So that's where this is coming from. Um, with this whole thing, as far as even testosterone, um, it's a testosterone. It's a testosterone outlet as far as game. Young boys they have high levels of testosterone. Young black boys have the highest level of testosterone. So they need a proper channel for that. They need sports. They need things like that. That's why people start giving them teachers and things start giving them medicine to lower their testosterone, lower their activity, because they say, well, they're being bad or they're being disruptive in class, because boys boys are they're learning, the ways they learn are different. So young boys have more energy. So sitting in the classroom goes against their makeup, their psychological makeup. Because young boys are raised to be the protectors, the warriors of the family. So they need that testosterone. That testosterone, that action, that energy they have, it's a good place to be. Something good. But in the classroom, it's not seen as good, because young boys learn differently than young girls. A young girl can sit in the classroom and is more likely to be less disruptive, because she doesn't have the same psychological makeup as a young man. He's the protector. He's the breadwinner. He's in nature, he is the protector and um, the aggressive um, energy source in the home for that protection. When everything falls and everything goes to crap, so to speak, who steps up? The man in the household. So that's why the young boys need that testosterone. But they'll have these young boys take medicine at a young age to lower that, so that they can be controlled in the classroom. But it's just a way of thinking. It's just a way of thinking. But young boys need to learn with action, not just sitting. So therefore, when they are disruptive in class, it's a end result of them not learning the best way for their psychological makeup compared to girls. So I say all that to say, um, when it comes to young men and gangs and gang activity, it's certain things we should look at overall, and that is that we need to teach these young men from a younger age to respect karma, the law of karma, the laws of the universe, the there's an equal and opposite reaction for every action. When you speak on Little Reese and his gang, there's a lot of things, that actions they've taken in the streets. And so when you speak on karma, you never know when that karma is coming back and how it's coming. But that energy is has to come back. So unless you practice another energy, and that's furthermore on down the concepts of karma. There is a another energy that can trump karma, but that's why we need to study these things. And I think that energy is um, grace. I believe it is. But as you study karma and the laws of the universe, you'll start to see these things. And so when we speak on Little Reese and the things he's dealing with, he himself said he was lucky. Life is a gamble. But it's not so much as a gamble as it is the energy you put out, you get back. Um, like I said, guidance. Guidance is the key to young men. Um, Guidance is the key to having young men go the right direction. And they need male guidance. Point blank, male guidance. And so we should value the males in the home. We should value the males in the community, and start at a younger age directing these young men. And there's even a scripture I'm going to read right now, um, just speaking on the concept of guidance. Psalms 1 and 27 in the King James Version of the Bible, speaking on children. Psalms 127 and 3. Lo, children are inheritance of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is the reward. I'm sorry, yeah, that was 3. I'm going back to 2. Um, I'm sorry, I'm going to 4. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. As arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so are children of the youth, meaning that when a child is young, he can be guided as an arrow. Children are clean slates. If you notice, if you're raised by Buddhists, if you're raised by Muslims, if you're raised by Christians, that's where you're going to be. Whatever you're raised by, that's where you're going to be. It's about atmosphere. So, knowing this, understanding this, Psalms 127:4, as arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Children can be guided and directed wherever you want them to go. Whatever type of man you want this young man to be, he can be guided to that. But he needs direction. Not to say that a woman can't guide him, but she can't be as effective naturally as a man in guiding a young man. We need that. We need that in our community. These are young warriors with warrior type mindsets that have been numb to violence, numb to the recompense of violence. So we need guidance in our community. We need male guidance. So let's value the man. Let's value the guidance that men bring. Let's value the actual men that bring guidance in our neighborhoods and in our community. And this is the overall picture. This is the big picture of this whole story. Thank you for listening.